Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another episode of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys spending some time with me, checking today's video out. Always definitely much appreciated around here. Guys, today we're going to be talking about something that really needs to get talked about more because it affects every single bass angler out there, and that is what happens when you start to lose confidence in your abilities to catch fish and those days that you just can't figure them out. You know, it's frustrating. It happens to everybody out there. And I think it affects people a little bit more than what people give it credit for. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to deal with that, because it is inevitable. If you fish long enough, you're going to doubt your abilities. You're going to have those days that you just say, "I suck," and "I'm not very good," and I don't know if I'm ever going to be good, or I'm over the hill. It's going to happen. So we're going to give you guys some advice on how to deal with that. Also, guys, just a quick invitation to everybody out there. If you guys are interested in going a little bit further to support Intuitive Angling, one of the best ways that you can do that is to become a channel member. And members get extra videos every week that aren't seen by the public, and some access to my email address for your fishing questions. And if you're interested, just go to my YouTube homepage, click on the join button for info. So much appreciated there. Okay, guys. Actually, I wanted to do this video because this very thing sort of happened to me today on Table Rock Lake. I had an on-the-water lesson today on Table Rock Lake, and it was brutal. You guys have heard me talk about how I really feel that Table Rock has gone downhill a lot here in the last year or so. Today was another prime example about that. And we went out there today, and we caught a total of I think 4 fish all day long. I had, my client caught 2. I caught 1 and lost 1, and that was it. That's all we called out all day long. And on a typical day in the past down there on the water lesson like that, we'd normally catch about 25 to 30 fish just on a normal day. So to go out and only get 3 or 4 bites all day long, you sort of go through that same thing when I'm talking about. You question your abilities, you doubt stuff, you lose confidence. Not saying that I did that, because I sort of understand the dynamics behind this. But ultimately, today's a prime example of about something that everybody's going to experience on those days that you may not ever get a bite all day long. That will happen. It happens to everybody, that you simply can't figure them out. You get out there and you have high hopes when you get out there, then all of a sudden you fish for 2 or 3 hours and nothing's working. You're switching up and you're changing different things and you're moving around, and still you're 3 or 4 hours into the day now, your day's half over, you still haven't caught one, and you keep changing, you keep thinking about what you need to do. And as the hours tick by, you start the wind just gets out of your sails, man. You just start losing confidence, you start doubting yourself, you start second guessing every decision that you make. And by the end of the day, self-doubt has crept into your mind as an angler here. So here's the first thing I want to really hammer home to everybody out there. Every single day that you're on the water, you're a better angler than you've ever been before the rest of your life. It's like today, for example, even though we sucked out there today, I still am a better angler now than I was at the top of my game 20 years ago, because I've accumulated more information. That information can be in terms of successful days in the water or unsuccessful days of the water, but regardless, it's assimilating information. So first of all, always remind yourself, even if you have a bad day on the water, that you're better today than you were on those days that you had really good days on the water. Just keep reiterating that to yourself. Second thing you need to remember is that bass fishing is all about making decisions. If you make the right decisions, sometimes it can be pretty easy and you'll have a successful day out there. If you don't make the right decisions, it can seem like it's impossible to catch one, and you just don't know what you need to do to turn it around. And there's a fine line, guys, a fine line in decision-making processes that determine, how successful you're going to be. It could be something as simple as a color change, a lure change, a speed to retrieve change, a line size change, an area change. It's usually one or maybe a combination of a couple different factors that either lead to your success or the lack of your success there. So just remember, another thing with this is you can't make all the best decisions all the time. It's never going to happen out there because when you're fishing out in the water, guys, you have a limited amount of time during the course of a day to figure these fish out and find out where they're at and find out what they're biting on. So let's say, for example, that you go out there and you're convinced that they're going to hit a square bill crankbait, and you go through every color that you have, every size, that type of stuff, but you still haven't tapped into every size and every color that's out there. It's like you may be throwing one model of square bill crankbait, and then for whatever reason that day, the fish may want just a little bit different vibration and they want a different brand of square bill crankbait. You may have your favorite shad pattern square bill crankbait, but another manufacturer has a shad pattern that's just a little bit different tint on it and makes the difference. You can't do everything. It's like when you go out there, you can't throw every lure that you have in your box. You don't have time to do it. So you make those decisions when you're on the water based upon your little bit of pre-tournament study, something about your experience. Maybe you've talked to some other people out there and you formulate a game plan. Sometimes, guys, those game plans work and sometimes they don't. The point is, don't beat yourself up about it. If you have one of those days like I had today, or even worse, where you don't get a bite all day long, just realize that is part of the sport. Bass fishing is an extremely difficult sport. It's the most difficult sport out there simply because of the variables you have. You have literally an unlimited amount of controlled variables, by far more than any other sport out there. And you're dealing with an inanimate object being a bass. You're not dealing with a golf ball or a football or something like that. So you've got a lot of stuff stacked against you. The odds are stacked against you on being successful day in and day out. So you will have bad days on the water. Main thing about, guys, is when you're having a tough day out there, is just reaffirm to yourself that it's a learning process. Even though you didn't catch them today, file that away in your memory banks as something you can draw upon for future trips out there. Don't look at it as a defeat. Don't look at it as something that's going to erode your confidence out there. Just look at it as it's just part of the whole process. It's like I like to sort of compare people's fishing careers to building a house. Some people are just starting out and they're putting their first brick down. Other people are finishing the roof. They've been through it and they've had years of experience, and everybody else is sort of in between there. So just look at those bad days on the water as just another brick you're building towards your house with that. And finally, guys, it is good for you to have bad days on the water. It's necessary for you to have bad days on the water because that gives you gratitude and appreciation for those good days. Good days are rare, guys. Unless you fish some private lake that's stocked full of hogs, if you fish public bodies of water and you don't use live scope and you fish with traditional bass fishing methods, bass fishing is a difficult sport and it's hard to be successful all the time. So those days that you are successful, cherish them and appreciate them and realize that they are fleeting moments and they're rare out there. And that way, unless you have that frame of reference of having suck days on the water, you can't really appreciate those days that the fish are just really biting really good. So anyway, guys, it happens to everybody out there, part of the game. And that's just one of the reasons that we all love fishing so much, man. It's a frustrating, wonderful, awesome, maddening sport all at the same time. So hope you guys are doing well. We'll talk later with you.